battle in the Aggony Flash tournament, help against Balor. The Danes versus the Lombards. An interesting matchup, to say the least. Looks like the Lombards are starting up on a hill, somewhat. No, actually the Danes have the option to go for a hill as well. So for the Danes here, we have big axes in the back. Big axes, axe herdmen, berserkers, protected behind spearmen, armored archers, levy freemen up front, axemen behind, big axes. So a staggered multi-line approach, and I think that's wise when you're the Danes. The Lombards have Lombard lancers, 4 of those, 1 Gestalt cavalry, 1 Gestalt guard, Lombard levy, a big line of swordsmen, Gestalt swords, swordsman, Lombard levy. These units are not going to be winning the battle for the Lombards. These units might. The archers and the cavalry. So archers, levy archers, 32 missile damage for the levy archers, 38 for the archers. So we have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 archers for the Lombards. And the Danes, as always, if the Danes manage to deal with the cavalry and manage to deal with the skirmishers, then the Danes win. If the Danes do not manage to deal with the cavalry and they do not manage to deal with the skirmishers, the Danes are going to lose. So the Danes are moving up on the flanks here. And I haven't seen the Danes win a competitive game yet in Total War Attila. But I haven't seen that many games, but the Danes, against a competent cavalry player, the Danes can run into a lot of trouble. But all that's required for the Danes to win is that if the Lombard player sleeps on the watch and gets a few of these units charged by big axes, they are going to die in seconds, and it's going to be very, very difficult for the Lombards. It looks like the armored archers have attack orders on this unit and not this unit, and that's a problem. So let's see how well the Lombard lancers are going to do here. The rapid advanced spearmen are moving to intercept, but they will not get to their bracing bonuses when moving like this. But they did manage to save the archers quite well, and with rapid advance they're killing some Lombard lancers running out here. Big axes moving into intercept as well. So now the Lombard lancers are taking fire, not flaming shot, but they did take some fire, and the Lombard lancers, the first Lombard lancers died without killing much. They killed a few spearmen, but that's not too effective for them. These archers are in danger of getting singled out here though, because there are 3 cav units surrounding this 1 archer unit. The spearmen trying to rapid advance into the fray. The Gestalt cavalry could get fired on by heavy shot here. Let's see. Going to lose some hit points, and with the Danes it's all about grinding down enemy cavalry, both with cheap spear units like this running after the Gestalt cavalry and with archers. And the Gestalt cavalry has started to die a bit. Lombard clubmen moving into support, and the Gestalt cavalry actually got caught here by the spearmen. So that's very, very bad for the Gestalt cavalry. They are dropping insanely quickly. Wow, look at this. Very expensive cavalry just getting chased off the field by spearmen. And over here the Lombard lancers, they're not getting a good charge here. That's the problem. They're not getting the angles they need to kill a lot of enemies. And the big axes rush in. They don't manage to connect that well though. Let's see, the Lombard clubs are engaging the spearmen, but the spearmen did so much damage to the Gestalt cavalry. They are cost effective. The axemen getting a nice, rear charge nicely here by the Lombard lancers. But the Lombard lancers are also taking some friendly fire. The axemen are not going to be able to connect here really well against the Lombards before they get hammered. So yeah, their morale is already shaky. The big axes get into some archers,
men have given up and are
But it's
running
going
for
to
their
be very
lives.
hard for them to catch the archers. The armored archers are being pressured at all times by cavalry. And the axemen are actually getting some kills here against the Lombard levy, but the cav charge just hurt them too much. And here we see the big axes doing what they do best, destroying some Lombard clubmen. Here come the Gestalt guards though. And the Gestalt guards are going to get a lot of kills against the lightly armored big axes. Another charge here for the Lombard lancers, and these big axes are going to die insanely quickly. Lombard levy going up against the spears. The big axes fighting the swordsmen here, and the swordsmen are dying really quickly. But these archers are getting good shots off on the big axes. Very nice shots. Some flaming shots going into the Gestalt guards here. These big axes are in trouble. Wow, look at the Gestalt guardsmen getting hammered by flaming. Against a unit with high armor, it might be better to use heavy shot though. And the big axes are chasing off the Gestalt guards. Managing to stop the Lombard lancers here as well before they can get charged. So yeah, look at the big axes just carving through the enemy cavalry here. The Gestalt guards are taking a lot of fire. But they made it into the armored archers. On the flanks, the Lombards are losing to big axes. Berserkers going berserk in the center here with 28 kills, so they went berserk relatively quickly. And the let's see, berserkers charge the Gestalt guards here as well. So the Gestalt guards might die here because they're trying to pull out, and they're surrounded. The berserkers getting nice kills, the big axes turning around to face the Gestalt swords. Let's see what depleted big axes can do. They're taking a lot of damage on the charge here, but they are also putting the hurt on the Gestalt swords.
The enemy general is dead.
The Lombard general dies. The balance of power is heavily in favor of the Danes. And it looks like the Lombards might concede now, because they have lost their cavalry. Their skirmishers are about to get charged. Most of the infantry is engaged. So a close victory there for the Danes. And the cavalry was dealt with. The skirmishers were somewhat dealt with at least. And the kills on the big axes are immense. The big axes were charged by cavalry in some cases. But I think, like I mentioned in the video about the Lombards, I think bringing one Gestalt cavalry is a mistake. I like the amount of skirmishers here. I do not like the amount of infantry brought by the Lombards. If we take a look at the Lombards can bring... Let's see, yeah. The archers, a good enough choice for the Lombards. The Lombard horsemen, a good enough choice for the Lombards. The Lombard lancers, a good choice. And to be honest, I wouldn't bring too much infantry against the Danes, because that infantry is going to be struggling massively. I would bring the maximum allowed of cavalry, and I would almost try to play this like a nomad game. So I would probably bring a lot of archers. I would bring some sturdy infantry units. But I think I would be banking on my... maybe even bring the Gestalt cavalry, as long as I have additional Lombard horsemen. Almost try to play this like a nomad army, and deal with any advancing spear units as rapidly as possible. Just pull back, keep pulling back the infantry, and then put the hurt on the big axes as much as possible. Just try to remove the big axes, but still it's very difficult for the Lombards, I think, engaging with the Danes, because the terrain on that battlefield allowed the Danes to stay in a position where a lot of cav charges were happening uphill. And when a cav charge happens uphill, you won't be able to knock down men as effectively. The charge bonus is going to get reduced, and once the Danes start piling in the infantry, Cav just cannot disengage effectively enough, so it requires a lot more micro on the part of the Lombard player than it does on the part of the Dane player. Good game. Strength and honor.